Okay, if you play chess, you know this feeling all too well. You're in a good position, everything seems solid, and then bam, you lose a piece, or even worse, your king gets trapped. That secret weapon your opponent just used, well, it's called a tactic, and mastering them is without a doubt the single fastest way to level up your game. So, what really separates a player who just knows the rules from someone who consistently wins? I'll tell you, it's not about memorizing 1,000 different openings. No, it's about recognizing the tactical patterns, that hidden geometry of the board that decide almost every single game you'll ever play. And that's it, right there. Winning is an active process. It's about creating and then executing these tactical shots. You can think of it as the real language of the chessboard. And today, we're going to learn the essential vocabulary. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get clear on what tactics actually are. Then, we're going to build your tactical toolbox with all the essentials. After that, we'll explore how to set up these devastating moves and then use them to deliver the final blow. And finally, we'll get into how to actually see these opportunities in your own games. By the end of this, you'll have a whole new way of looking at the board. Okay, let's start with the foundation. We've been talking about tactics being this big secret to winning, but what exactly is a tactic? What's that secret ingredient that turns just a casual game into a decisive, crushing victory? At its core, a tactic is just a short sequence of moves, usually only 2 or 3, that creates a very real, very immediate advantage. It's not some long-term grand strategy. It's a sharp, decisive combination that changes the game right now. All right, time to start filling up that tactical toolbox. We're going to cover the absolute bread and butter of chess tactics. These are the must-know patterns that pop up in game after game after game. You master these and you will immediately start winning more. It's that simple. First up is the fork. This is when one of your pieces attacks 2 or more enemy pieces at the exact same time. Now, your opponent can only save one of them, which means you're guaranteed to win the other. It's such a simple idea, but it's devastatingly effective. Now, what's so fascinating is that while pretty much any piece can pull off a fork, the knight, with its tricky little L-shaped move, is the undisputed king of the fork. Its ability to attack things without being on the same line or diagonal, it just makes it a tactical nightmare for your opponent. It can strike from absolutely nowhere. Okay, next up are 2 ideas that are kind of like evil twins, the pin and the skewer. The easiest way to think of them is as opposites. A pin attacks a lower value piece that's shielding a more valuable piece, like a queen or a king. The defender is literally pinned down. It can't move without exposing the treasure behind it. The skewer, on the other hand, does the reverse. It attacks the valuable piece first, forcing it to move and exposing a less valuable piece behind it for you to just snatch up. And now for what might be the most powerful of all the essentials, the discovered attack. This move is just pure surprise. You move a piece that seems totally harmless, but by moving it, you unleash a hidden attack from a long-range piece, like a rook or a bishop, that was just lurking behind it. It is the ultimate ambush, and your opponent almost never sees it coming. So we've got our basic weapons. But great players don't just sit around and wait for these opportunities to appear. No, they create them with these cunning setup moves. Let's dig into how they do it. So the first setup is called deflection. The idea here is really simple. If a strong enemy piece is guarding something you want, you've got to lure it away. Think of it like a security guard protecting a vault. You create a distraction somewhere else that forces the guard to leave their post, and suddenly the vault is undefended. An even more direct way to do this is a tactic called removing the guard. It's this beautiful, simple 4-step process. First, find a piece you want to win. Second, identify the single piece that's protecting it. Third, you capture that protector, even if it means sacrificing one of your own pieces to do it. And finally, with the guard gone, you just swoop in and capture your original target. You see, the crucial point here is to look for weaknesses. And one of the absolute biggest weaknesses you can find is what we call an overloaded piece. This is a defender that's been given way too many jobs to do. It might be protecting a pawn, shielding the king, and supporting an attack, all at the same time. A piece that's trying to do everything at once is just a vulnerability waiting to be exploited. You add just one more threat, and that whole defensive structure can just crumble. All right, you've set the stage, you've won some material, now it is time for the grand finale. This is where we use all these tactics to deliver the ultimate goal in chess, checkmate. One of the most common and, let's be honest, most satisfying checkmates is the back rank mate.
This happens when the enemy king is trapped on its own back row, basically imprisoned by its own wall of pawns. All it takes is for a rook or a queen to just slide onto that back rank, and boom, it's game over. Before a truly brutal and beautiful pattern, we have to talk about the windmill. This is a repeating sequence that can just wipe out an opponent's army. It starts with a discovered check, which forces the king to move. Then, the piece that moved to reveal the check goes and captures an enemy piece. After that, it moves back to repeat the discovered check, allowing it to capture another piece, and then another, and another. It's just an unstoppable tactical machine. We've covered a ton of ground, but the most important question is still out there. How do you go from just knowing these patterns to actually seeing them in your games? The answer is all about developing your tactical vision. Here's a mental checklist you can use in your very next game. First off, just scan the board for any undefended pieces. They are natural targets. Second, for every single enemy piece, ask yourself, what is its job? What is it defending? That's how you'll spot those overloaded pieces. Third, trace the lines of attack for your big guns, your rooks, your bishops, your queen. And finally, before every single move, force yourself to look for all possible checks, captures, and threats. This simple habit, I promise you, will absolutely unlock your tactical vision. Because when it comes down to it, that's what chess really is. The board isn't just a collection of pieces. It's a battlefield of hidden patterns and invisible forces. The only question is, now that you know what to look for, which one are you going to see first?